Good evening. Welcome in daily UPSC editorial audio program. Bring in Burma, the Times of India. Myanmar civil strife is bringing in refugees and drugs. Government of India and its states need to coordinate. Bridge to nowhere. The Hindu. Search and seizure. Now the full editorial. Brewing in Burma. The Times of India. Myanmar civil strife is bringing in refugees and drugs. Government of India and its states need, need to coordinate. There is trouble brewing along the northeast border in Myanmar. On Sunday, up to 5,000 Myanmaris, including some soldiers, crossed over to Mizoram seeking refuge from the civil strife between insurgent groups and the country's army. Separately, on Monday, Government of India extended a ban on seven Meitei organizations, including their political wings, under UAPA for 5 years. The unsettled state of the region needs a coherent approach that brings Government of India's internal security and diplomatic efforts in sync with the approach of state governments. India and Myanmar share a 1,643 kilometer land border. It is an open border defined by a free movement regime (FMR) of 16 kilometers on either side. Civil strife on the Myanmar side inevitably spills over on account of ethnic kingship of the four states in the northeast which share a border with Myanmar. Manipur and Mizoram are the worst affected by the increase in civil strife following the 2021 military coup. The intensity of civil strife can be measured by reports indicating that the military junta has begun to use the air force more often. A combination of an open air, along with a collapse of state institutions and the resulting inflow of refugees from Myanmar, provides a boost to the traditional narcotics trade. A policy brief last year by the think tank MP IDSA said that the infamous Golden Triangle tri-junctions at the Myanmar, Laos, and Thailand borders relies on India for both inputs in synthetic drug manufacture and its subsequent market. The institutional cor- corrosion that accompanies narcotics trade in some ways makes Myanmar the most troublesome of India's neighbor. It is not just India, even Bangladesh has to deal with the fallout of the instability after the 2021 military coup. The potential risk from the situation in Myanmar need to be prio- prio- prioritized by Government of India. Kingship ties makes it unlikely that the flow of refugees into India can be stopped. Mizoram government's liberal attitude to them has been catalyzed by the ties between Chin refugees and the Mizos. India's ad hoc approach to refugees and their fear of prosecution under the Foreigner Act will very likely result in refugees in search of a livelihood being uh, ensnared by the drug trade. It is a recipe for trouble within India. Government of India needs to use its leverage with Myanmar's military junta to neutralize the push factor bringing refugees here. Bridge to nowhere, the Hindu. India should be forceful in articulating its position on Gaza 2 weeks after abstaining from an UN General Assembly UNGA resolution that called for a ceasefire in the Israeli strikes on Gaza. India voted in favor of five of six annual draft resolutions at the UNGA's fourth committee that criticized Israel for increasing settlements in the occupied territories, was in favor of Palestine's right to home and property, and supported the UN Refugees and Work Agency (UNRWA) operating in Gaza. The official explanation of the votes as a routine affirmation of India's traditional policy has only added to the confusion over the government's stand on the crisis. Its explanation of vote in the original UNGA resolution in October said that India could not vote for a resolution that did not include an explicit condemnation of the October 7 attack by Hamas. However, none of the six resolutions, including one in which India abstained, that discusses investigating Israel of rights violation, actually referred to the October 7 attack. These were instead identical to resolutions that India had voted for before, and neither India nor any other country at the Fourth Committee deliberations proposed amendments. The Israeli envoy, in fact, demanded a rejection of the anti Israel resolution as they did not contain references to the current situation. Cuba argued that the resolution were important to vote for, but that they also did not contain references to the more than 11,000 Palestinian kills, including 4,000 children and the displaced nearly a million. India did not propose amendments, nor did any Indian diplomat speak, although a lengthier explanation may be expected when the resolution are put to vote by the UNGA next month, by which time more of Gaza would have been flattened. At a time when every day counts, New Delhi appears unwilling to exert itself to making a difference. Too, the government continues to hold its traditional stand on support for the Palestinian cause and a two-state solution, which it reaffirmed during the recent India-US 2+2 ministerial meeting, and that it stands by Israel with zero tolerance for terror attacks. However, it has not joined the call for a ceasefire or explicitly asked for an end to the strikes on civil targets, where Israel claims it is hunting for Hamas fighters and searching for hostages. Nor has it named Hamas for the terror attacks or changed Indian law, as the Israeli ambassador to India called for, to designate Hamas as a terror group. More than a month after Israel's reprisal began, the government must explain its position on the conflict, including where, if anywhere, India could play a role in elevating the situation. The upcoming Voice of Global South and G20 virtual summit may present the opportunity to articulate options for ending the violence, recovering Israeli hostage, as well as post-conflict scenarios for Gaza and Palestinians. India's voice, once known for being forceful and balanced on such issues, must not be replaced by an expedient silence. Search and seizure, unfettered powers to seize devices, threaten freedom of speech. The Supreme Court's direction to the Union government to frame guidelines to protect the interest of media professionals with regard to the seizure of their digital devices is a timely first step. Recent actions against journalists whose laptop and smartphones were seized and searched have sent a chilling message, not just to the wider media fraternity, but also to whistleblowers and others who speak to journalists on the condition their identity will not be revealed. If a journalist's communication devices can be seized and their data examined on the flimsy ground of allegations, it comprises sources and impedes news professionals ability to do their job. In this way, it impinges on the freedom of the press and also strikes at a right to livelihood of journalists, as digital devices have become the critical tool of the profession. The guidelines must ensure that the law enforcement agencies are not permitted to seize or search devices without a prior judicial warrant, clearly laying out the information that the agency expected to find, rather than authorizing an unlimited fishing expedition. Journalists must not be forced to incriminate themselves on their sources by being compelled to provide passports or biometric data. The guidelines must include protocols to safeguard the devices and the data, to ensure that it is not leaked or tampered with or passed on to third parties, and that the data irrelevant to an investigation is deleted in a timely manner. Technological interventions allow for the cloning of a device, thus allowing journalists to continue their work and not depriving them of their own data for an unspecified period. Similarly, it is important to create a record of the device at the time of seizure to ensure that incriminating material is not planted on it during the investigation process. The court, on its directive of the additional Solicitor General, indicated the need for a balancing of interest. Thus, the guideline must be drafted in a transparent manner and involve public consultation. The court referred to the fact that privacy itself has been held for a fundamental right, indicating that this is an issue involving any citizens whose professional and personal lives are increasingly contained in a vulnerable handheld device. Beyond these guidelines for media professionals, there is a need to update the laws allowing search and seizure by law enforcement agencies to take these new digital realities into account. Thank you.